Welcome to Hero Villains. In your opinion, who would win, the one below all of Marvel or the great evil beast of DC? The one below all is the embodiment of destruction, hatred, and primordial chaos in the Marvel Universe. This entity hides beneath the deepest layer of reality, commanding demons, spreading despair, and manipulating vulnerable souls. The power of the one below all is conceptual in nature, controlling darkness, corrupting life, shattering minds, and influencing the entire multiverse. It is nearly immortal beyond physical limitations and capable of affecting reality through parasitism, possession, and the ignition of rage within those who wield gamma power. The great evil beast, on the other hand, is the primal darkness of DC, born at the very moment light came into existence. It exists as the counterbalance to goodness, enveloping the void of space and standing outside of time itself. The power of the great evil beast is cosmological, manipulating night, devouring dimensions, confronting divine entities, and influencing all of creation. It is not merely powerful, but the very concept of pure evil. Before we dive deeper into the analysis, please press the subscribe button and remember to turn on notifications by clicking the bell icon. Thank you all very much. At the deepest bottom of the multiversal darkness exists the one below all, an entity bound to the most ancient nightmares. It is regarded as the source of corruption, of maddened fury, and of every tempting whisper rising from the abyss. Even Mephisto, who always prides himself on his infernal authority, must admit that the power of the one below all lies far beyond his reach. To challenge it directly would result in nothing but absolute failure. This alone places the one below all among the most terrifying entities, a symbol of darkness without end. Interestingly, that horrifying power does not spill freely into the world. The one below all can only enter reality through the green door or through individuals carrying gamma mutations. Hulk becomes the crucial key, the one who unknowingly opens an escape path for this entity, drawing it out from the pitch-black prison where it was confined. The one below all is not bound to a single form. It appears fleetingly, constantly shifting, sometimes vague, sometimes so horrific that it sends chills through those who witness it. Its most common image is that of a colossal mass of green smoke, roiling like a living gamma explosion, both eerily beautiful and filled with the sense of imminent destruction. Within that smoke hides a cruel will, an intelligence patient enough to wait for the perfect moment to break hope itself. It does not merely represent devastation, but also the mystery behind gamma power, a reminder that every terrible gift comes with a cost. Its title as the true demon of the multiverse comes not only from its power, but from the chilling dread felt whenever its name is spoken. At the origin of gamma power exists the supreme being. When a gamma mutant falls, their journey does not end with death. They drift down into the below place, passing through a cold and desolate darkness like a bottomless abyss, and only from there can they return to the world of the living. It feels as though their souls must touch the very end of destruction before being allowed to be reborn, carrying with them the mysterious imprint of a realm where light can scarcely reach. Hulk is the character who has witnessed the most secrets. In issue 24, Bruce Banner, in the form of the Green Giant, held a conversation with Metatron, the awakened intelligence of the universe. He stated that he had killed Franklin Richards and Galactus, two beings whose power commands the caution of the entire cosmos. Hulk could not have done this on his own. Only by understanding that such power came from the one below all, a force capable of bending reality itself, doesn't make sense, rendering even those who wield abstract power as insignificant as faint echoes in infinite emptiness. The Supreme Being requires no host, no intermediary, and is bound by no door or condition. A single thought is enough to make reality tremble, as if the universe itself were nothing more than a thin veil before its hand. When comparing the two entities, it feels as though the balance tilts slightly toward the Supreme Being, not through loud spectacle, but through a silence filled with authority, a power that exists simply and absolutely. The one below all is often regarded as the second most powerful force, rivaling the living tribunal. Yet when placed beside the one above all, the comparison becomes uneven. The Supreme Being feels like the source of all existence, while the one below all carries the sense of a dense black abyss, where echoes of despair resound without end. The below place is considered hell in the truest sense, because it is a realm where even the Supreme Being does not manifest. It is said that hell is the absence of God, and for there to be absence, he must have once been present. The Supreme Being was aware of all creation even before time and space took form, when Galactus was still Galen wandering through chaos. Such power can destroy planets as easily as a child at play, bend dimensions, crush stars, and treat physical limits as nothing more than a thin mist. There is a theory that the one below all is the true master standing behind Null, the entity bound to primordial darkness, a calculating shadow that silently slips between dimensions. Even so, absolute authority belongs to the Supreme Being. However, he does not possess a body in any way humans can imagine. To interact with the universe, he requires a mind and a soul worn like a mask upon the cosmic stage, because his nature is not that of an individual consciousness in the conventional sense. Behind this lie mysterious desires deep and terrifying like a bottomless night sea. The one below all is the place where every notion of goodness is swallowed whole. It can appear anywhere, sense every thought, and seep into the deepest corners of the mind. This is not because it needs to observe, but because its very essence is pure evil. Its sole desire is destruction, to turn order into ashes and allow chaos to reign. Many believe that if it were truly omnipotent, the multiverse would have collapsed long ago. A single cold glance would be enough to erase all life, like a tiny candle extinguished in an endless storm. It is seen as a reflection of the great evil beast within the Marvel Universe, a counterpart to the presence of DC. Some also compare it to Satan in the Bible, a being who does not hold absolute power but possesses the ability to tempt, to whisper words into mortal ears that lead them toward their own destruction. Regardless of interpretation, the common thread is a sense of unease. It is like darkness pressing close behind one's back, not needing to strike directly, yet still making the heart race with invisible fear. What is most terrifying is that it has almost never fully revealed itself. There is no clear form, no face to remember. Only a vague presence, like a thick black haze covering the sky of the mind. This very mystery makes it more frightening than any monster with a defined shape. We do not know what it looks like, only that it is there, waiting, silent, and patient, like an abyss forever opening its arms to wandering souls. I sincerely hope you will subscribe to the channel. It would help us greatly, and you are truly wonderful. Thank you very much. Now let us talk about the Great Evil Beast. The Great Evil Beast, also known as the Great Darkness or the Ultimate Darkness, appears in American Gothic from Swamp Thing. Each time it reveals itself, it carries a chill that runs down the reader's spine. The primal darkness is described as an ancient entity that existed before the first moment of light ever flared into being. When creation began and light spread outward, it retreated into the primordial dark. During the world-shaking event known as Crisis on Infinite Earths, a mysterious cult called Brujeria awakened it. Their goal was reckless and fanatical, to erase the presence of God and reshape the universe according to their own will. These conspiracies intertwine and stretch on, steeped in a distinctly American Gothic gloom, where humanity stands small before forces beyond comprehension. The atmosphere grows thick like night fog, and each secret revealed makes the sky feel heavier. John Constantine and Swamp Thing became the two leading figures in the effort to prevent catastrophe. They faced not only ancient sorcery, but also the despair that gnawed away at their resolve. Alongside them stood supernatural heroes, as well as forces drawn from both heaven and hell. The conflict was not merely a clash of fists or spells, but a struggle between faith and darkness. On the opposing side, another powerful faction in hell, led by the Three Devils, chose to stand with the darkness. Everything combined to create the sense that the world itself was holding its breath. Ancient darkness stirred, light trembled, and humanity was little more than tiny sparks struggling against the cold wind blowing from the void. It is this confrontation between hope and despair that makes the Great Evil Beast both majestic and terrifying. The primal darkness developed its own consciousness very early on, yet it still struggled to understand why it existed. It drifted through nothingness like a colorless storm, immense and undefined, observing and learning from every reaction of the surrounding universe. When the heroes attempted to confront it, they quickly realized the horrifying gap in power. Their attacks were swallowed whole by a bottomless abyss, while they themselves were gradually drawn into that vast being, where darkness stretched endlessly and all hope slowly cooled. Yet, those encounters themselves became lessons for the darkness. Etrigan declared to it that it was evil itself. Dr. Fate said that evil was despicable, while the Spectre taught it about the burning vengeance within wounded souls. Each word and each meeting fell into place like pieces of a puzzle, helping the darkness understand itself more clearly. Instead of losing its way, it grew stronger, more aggressive, and eventually turned its gaze toward heaven, where light seemed untouchable. Swamp Thing then chose the most difficult path. He stepped directly into the very being of the darkness, feeling a cold that pierced to the core, and tried to speak of how he understood the world. That good and evil are not separate, they coexist and define one another. There is no light without darkness, for contrast, and no darkness if light had never shone. Those words echoed through the void like a tiny but persistent spark. The darkness reached out toward heaven, and something no one expected happened. God reached back in response. The two entities embraced, not in hatred, but in profound understanding. From that moment on, the world was never the same. Good and evil continued to exist, intertwined, pulling humanity through choices and inner torment. Yet behind it all, a heavy truth emerged. Like many other supernatural entities, the darkness does not have only a single name. It possesses many titles and interpretations. What matters is that not everything called darkness is truly the great darkness. Just as God cannot be confined solely to the concept of the presence. One memorable detail is when Lucifer spoke of his own past. He had once been darkness before becoming the light bringer, and if darkness were to invade hell, Lucifer would be forced to rule alongside Beelzebub and Azazel to prevent its spread. In another development, during an appearance alongside the JSA, there was speculation that when the darkness withdrew from the first light, it drifted into the land of shadows. There are also figures with similar aspects, such as Periala or Mother Night. Although they represent the concept of darkness, they differ in origin and role. Frankly speaking, the great evil beast is still regarded as superior to them in scale and power, like a colossal black tide capable of drowning all fragile belief. At times, it has even been likened to a power from the other world, a cold energy that makes the soul shudder. There are two entities standing at opposite ends of the abyss of the universe. The one below all is the embodiment of despair, born to shatter the will to exist. The great evil beast is pure darkness, the counterbalance to primordial light. They do not see each other as reflections, but as two abysses waiting to devour everything that comes near. Their first encounter requires no words, only essence and will collide, like invisible waves sweeping across countless dimensions. In that moment, the universe trembles. Souls living across innumerable worlds feel an unnamed fear, a piercing cold seeping deep into the mind. The one below all spreads spiritual decay, turning hope into ashes and blowing away all faith like it is struck by a poisonous wind. In response, the great evil beast releases primordial darkness, a force that existed even before the first light, erasing order and every rule the universe struggles to maintain. Their battle does not take place on any single battlefield. Wherever darkness exists becomes a place of conflict. Universes at the edge of existence collapse, like buildings stripped of their foundations. Reality, time, even the concepts of good and evil are twisted like soft mirrors. The one below all seeks to assimilate the great evil beast, to turn its opponent into part of itself, a branch of endless despair. But the great evil beast responds by devouring the dark energy of its foe, expanding a realm of shadow that has no need for life. The one below all still depends on the despair of living souls. The great evil beast can exist even when not a single trace of life remains. When all hope fades, what is left is only primordial darkness, terrifying in its stillness, and the advantage gradually shifts toward the great evil beast. It does not fight out of rage, but out of instinct to exist. It is like a boundless ocean. While the one below all is merely a fierce but short-lived flame, when the one below all recklessly invades the interior of the great evil beast to destroy it from within, it faces a chilling truth. Inside, there is no space, no time, no concept to grasp or to destroy. There is only absolute nothingness. The great evil beast envelops its opponent. There is no blinding explosion, only a sudden extinguishing, like a lamp being crushed. The green light of the one below all is slowly compressed by the dense darkness. It dissolves, its consciousness erased, becoming a mass of unconscious chaotic energy within the vast body of the great evil beast. The universe falls silent for a moment that feels like eternity. The winner is the great evil beast. I hope you enjoyed this battle. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Follow me if you liked it. That is today's video. Thank you very much.